The Atlanta Braves suffer an inexcusable series loss to the Pittsburgh Pirates, fail again to reach 500, and it's all because of the offense. We'll talk about it all on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on social media at shortstopball. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and watching this on YouTube, please stop what you're doing real quick. Hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and leave me a comment down below, as it does help us out a ton whenever you do those things. And if you're listening on the audio version, you can help out by leaving me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Unfortunately, on today's podcast, we got to talk about what happened in Pittsburgh over the weekend. A series loss to the Pirates. It just cannot happen, and the offense just gets worse and worse and is really holding this team back right now. We'll get into all that on today's episode and set you up for the Nat series in the final segment. But this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. As I said in the cold open here, this was an inexcusable series loss to the Pirates. You had a couple of chances to get back to 500, and you could not do it. This is a team in the Pirates that just fired their coach. You don't face Paul Skeens in this series, and somehow you still manage to lose it. And you get some great pitching, and you still manage to lose this series. It simply cannot happen, especially when you're continuing to try to make up for an 0-7 start. You cannot drop series like this where, like, I'm not trying to take anything away from the Pirates. I feel like the Braves lost the series more than the Pirates won it. These were all winnable games that you should win. It's not like the Pirates just, their offense went on a tear and the pitching just wasn't there for the Braves. It was just certainly the offense did not show up. You had two more chances to get back to 500 and they fail to do so. And again, all the blame for me goes squarely on the shoulders, or falls on the shoulders of the offense, which has been struggling for the better part of 2 weeks now. The Pirates pitching staff is a bottom 10 pitching staff, especially when you consider the Braves didn't have to face Paul Skeens in this series. And the Braves managed to score a total of 8 runs over the 3-game series, with one of those runs coming in extra innings thanks to a wild pitch, pass ball, whatever you want to label it as. Not good. Not good at all. And they had 20 hits on the weekend, 11 walks. That's not terrible. And just 19 strikeouts. So again, the hits, the walks, the strikeouts are not bad. It should certainly lead to more runs than that. But here's where the problem lies. 1 home run, and that was a solo shot for Matt Olson. You were 3 for 21 with runners in scoring position, a problem that's been there all year for this Braves team outside of maybe a week and a half, 2-week stretch. 3 for 21 with runners in scoring position, and not in one of the games did you have multiple hits with runners in scoring position. And on Sunday, you only had 3 chances to do so. You had 1 stolen base on the weekend, and you got caught stealing. So you only attempted 2 stolen bases on the weekend, and you went 1 for 1 in those chances. So here's the Braves' offensive dilemma at the moment. You're suddenly not hitting for power, like, at all. You can't string hits or walks together in an inning. You're getting on base, you're getting your hits, but it's 1 hit an inning, or it's 1 walk an inning. You're not able to string it together, or at least not for multiple innings. They might have that 1 inning, which usually comes in the 8th. But outside of that, they're not able to string anything together, and you can't run to manufacture. You have 1 stolen base on the weekend. So you're not able to score from the home run. You're not able to score from stringing hits and walks together, and you're not able to steal to help manufacture a run. You know, look at the way that the Pirates scored those 3 runs on Sunday. Part of that inning was a double steal that they were able to pull off. So you're just not doing anything good offensively at the moment. You're not doing anything right now. And you look at it at an individual level, and look, Alex Verdugo has cooled off significantly. We knew that was going to come at some point. He's 1 for his last 24 with no walks and 5 strikeouts. Certainly feels like that magic has worn off, and you can't keep putting him in the leadoff spot The problem is, who else goes there right now? There's really not anybody else that fills that role. Maybe Eli White, but I hate to mess with, a guy that's maybe having a somewhat of a breakout season for himself, to all of a sudden put the pressure on him to, hey, we need you in the leadoff spot to set the table for the rest of the lineup. The thing is, you need Acuña, and I hate to put that much pressure on Acuña to come back, but it puts everybody else in the positions that they need to be in. And we don't just need Acuña back, we need Acuña back. And that's a lot of pressure and wishful thinking for a guy that hasn't played in nearly a year by the time he comes back. And who knows whenever he's going to come back. But the Braves really need the good version of Ronald Acuña Jr. Even the 2022 version right now would be a huge upgrade for this Braves lineup. Ozzie is 0 for his last 22 with a walk and 6 strikeouts. It's been bad. Matt Olson's hitting .216 over the last 15 days. He does have a .339 on base and a .770 OPS because he's had 3 home runs over that stretch. So he's at least still taking his walks, and he's hit some home runs for the Atlanta Braves. Marcell Ozuna is the one that's really hurting the team right now. 192 average over that stretch. He is still getting some walks, so it's a .306 on base percentage with just a .556 OPS and no home runs over the last 15 days. And he hasn't hit a home run since April 26th. And Riley's hitting .271 over the last 15 days, but just a .741 OPS. So not a lot of impact with those hits. So where I come around on all of this, we can talk about Ozzie, and yes, he's been really bad. We can talk about Michael Harris, and yes, he's been really bad. Although, he's come around over the last 4 or 5 days, I think. But you can't have your top 3 hitters. You cannot have Marcell Ozuna, Matt Olson, and Austin Riley having little to no impact. And again, for Olson and for Riley, they've been okay, but Ozuna's been really bad, and what Olson and Riley have been doing that is just okay is not impactful enough. And part of that is guys not being on base. The only home run of the weekend, Matt Olson, there's nobody on for him. Nick Allen had the most hits of anybody this past weekend with 4 hits. Drake Baldwin had the second most. He and Austin Riley both had 3 hits, and Drake Baldwin only got 1 start over the weekend. And in that 1 start, he didn't even get to finish the game. It's really bad right now. And there's a lot of blame to go around. But for me, I look at the big 3 in the order, and they have to step up and do more when they get chances to drive in runs. When they get those big RBI opportunities, they need to start coming through. You look at, since April 28th, the Braves are 24th in slugging percentage. They have the 4th fewest home runs, which you never would have thought about this Braves team. They didn't do anything well. The one thing you could always count on them doing well was hitting home runs, and they're not doing that right now. You almost wonder at this point, do they just need to go back to their old approach? Because over that stretch, they have cut down their strikeout rate. It's a 21.4% strikeout rate over the last couple of weeks since that April 28th date, but they're not slugging now. And they're not getting the batted ball luck. It is just a 7.66% walk rate. They do have a .278 batting average on balls in play, which is 21st lowest. So some bad luck in there, but not a ton. But it's just a .227 batting average, which ranks 23rd over that time, 24th at on-base percentage in that stretch. And now they're not hitting the ball hard either. We talk about the Braves' bad luck, how they'll hit the ball hard, but they're not getting the results. Well, now they're not hitting the ball hard, and they're still not getting results. For all of you that wanted the Braves to hit the ball softer to try to get hits, that's not working either. They have a 28.3% hard hit rate since April 28th, and that ranks 25th lowest in all of baseball. So they're not doing anything right at the moment offensively, and they've got to get this figured out, or this team will go nowhere. Look, I have been one of the people saying, I believe this team will figure it out. I think the offense will get going. And I still want to believe that. But if this offense cannot figure it out, whether it is the offensive adjustments they're trying to make with Tim Hires or just getting back to where they were before, they can't find some sort of footing and middle ground to all of this, then this team's going nowhere. You can't count on the pitching to bail you out all of the time. Here's another thing I noticed too. They're not stressing the starters, particularly over this bad stretch of offense they've had. You look at runs by inning. 22nd in the first inning, 14th in the second, 9th in the third. So those are okay, the second and third inning. But 27th in the fourth, 23rd in the fifth, 23rd in the sixth inning, 28th in the seventh inning, 23rd in the ninth inning, The eighth inning, that's it. They had the third most runs scored in the eighth inning. But for most of these, they're in the 20s. And you can't have that where you are waiting until the end of the game. You're putting all your eggs in the eighth inning to make a comeback. Starters are cruising right now through 5 innings against the Braves. They haven't knocked a starter out before the 5th inning since April 28th in Colorado. That's not counting the Hunter Green start where he only went 3 innings because of an injury. If he hadn't gotten hurt, he probably would have gone 7 innings and struck out 15. And they've only done it twice since April 22nd. They are not stressing the starting pitchers, and they are cruising through 5, 6 innings. And then you're just hoping your pitching staff keeps you in the game and that the offense rallies late. And it's just not a recipe for success long-term, because eventually this pitching is not going to have a good stretch like they're in now. And you're going to have to count on this offense to win you some games. And right now there's just no trust that they're able to do that. So until they can get it together, and everybody wants to talk about, get rid of Ozzie, replace Michael Harris, all of that. They need to get rid of so-and-so. Who are you replacing them with? That's the thing that I just don't get right now from Braves fans. I understand maybe you want to replace them, but who are you replacing them with? Orlando Arcia, Luke Waddell, Nacho's hurt right now. Carlos Rodriguez, you want to call up Jared Kelenic back up? Who are you replacing these guys with? Yeah, maybe you can move Eli White to shortstop or second base, but then you're starting Stuart Fairchild in the outfield. It's just, for better or worse, these are the guys that you have, and they're either going to figure it out and get it done, or this Braves team is going nowhere. That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line for this Braves team and for this offense. Either this group of players is going to figure it out and turn things around, or the season is another bust. There is no replacing these guys. There is nobody. There is no next man up right now for the Atlanta Braves. They don't have the position players ready to do that. So they've got to figure it out, and they need to figure it out pretty soon, because they dug themselves a pretty big hole. They've done a great job trying to get out of it. But in order to get over that hump and continue to keep going and reach their goals, this offense has to figure it out. Next, we will get to the good side of things. We'll talk about the pitching from the weekend, and then we'll set you up for the Nat series, which another one they really have to take advantage and win it. We'll talk about all of that here next. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? I'm family of 5 over here. I'm always wondering, where did all the money go? Between dining out, grocery shopping, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com. You're going to get 50% off your first year. Yes, 50. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB. Take some stress out of your life and get 50% off your first year with Monarch Money. So it wasn't all bad on the weekend for the Atlanta Braves. The pitching remains very strong for this Atlanta Braves team. Bryce Elder, 6 innings, 5 hits, no walks, 3 earned, 8 strikeouts, 2 home runs given up, 99 pitches thrown. Another quality start for Bryce. And like I said, yeah, he gives up the 3 runs, gives up 2 in that 6th inning there that really hurt, but this one wasn't on him. And overall, another good outing from Bryce Elder, who continues to give the Braves some strong starts. Mainly just spammed the sinker and slider in this one. 15 called strikes on the sinker and 10 whiffs on the slider, which tells me that he was able to throw that sinker early in counts to set it up. He was able to throw him at the strike zone to get ahead and then put hitters away with the slider, which is the recipe. I do think he's somebody that can mix in the changeup and can also throw that 4-seamer at the top of the zone too when he needs to. But when he's on, it really just is the sinker slider combination to keep hitters off balance, get that weak contact. And he's been able to do that here as of late. And then AJ Smith-Shawver, 3 straight quality outings from him. Now 5 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, 7 strikeouts on 97 pitches. Threw a really good splitter, tried to get through that 6th inning. But I forget the Pirates hitter, maybe Gorski. It seemed like he and Joey Bart were all over the place this past weekend. Took a splitter that was almost on the dirt and just somehow threw the bat at it and knocked it into left field. So he wasn't quite able to get to that 6th inning. But another just very encouraging start from AJ Smith-Shawver. The splitter, as I just mentioned, highly effective for him in this one. He got 7 whiffs on it. But as I've talked about in the past with AJ Smith-Shawver, it all has to be set up with good fastball location. I thought he had that in this one again. Consistently locating that fastball at the bottom of the zone too in this one, which really helps play off that splitter that you can start at the bottom of the zone and then drop it out of the zone. So I thought that was really good from him in his outing on Saturday. And then Chris Sale on Sunday, he also goes 5 2/3. He was not particularly happy with his performance. 8 hits, 2 walks, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 8 strikeouts. It was really just one frustrating inning that included a few weak hits, a pass ball, a double steal, and that's all the Pirates needed. They got 3 runs off of them, and then they got the one in the bottom of the ninth after the Braves tied it up. But for Chris Sale, you look at the stuff overall and you take it in perspective, and it was another great outing from him. 18 whiffs in this game. The fastball was the better pitch than the slider in this one, or at least the more effective pitch. He got 12 whiffs with that flat fastball on those 18 overall that he got, and he topped out at 99.4. So he gets that fastball working like he has the last 2 starts. You know that slider is always there for him, and we're getting back the Cy Young version of Chris Sale. So I know he gave it the 3 runs in this one. It was really just some unfortunate luck in one inning for him, and nobody wants to hear about bad luck right now, but that's what it was for Chris Sale in that inning. Now, I will say he has done a much better job in recent starts of getting in those jams, even if he puts himself in those spots and get some big strikeouts to get out of them, and he wasn't able to do that in this one, as they got the sac fly, and then you got the Joey Bart hit, and again, Joey Bart had 20 hits in the series this weekend. He had the final hit against Chris Sale in that inning, which was kind of the backbreaker to get that 3rd run, and then which was a really weak hit at like 75 miles per hour, and then Joey Bart got the walk-off fielder's choice on a great slider from Iglesias down and away that he just was able to put the barrel on and put it in the right spot with the infield drawn in to get the walk-off RBI hit. But again, all 3 starters I thought were fantastic on the weekend. And I thought the bullpen overall was good, good to fine. Going with Montero in the 8th on Saturday was quite a choice from Brian Snitker. But again, he's trying to manage this long stretch of games. You had just used De Los Santos the day before, and it feels like those spots where it's kind of in between in those 1-run games late, he's either going to go to Montero or De Los Santos if they're tied or down by 1. And unfortunately, I think De Los Santos is the better pitcher, but you had just used him on Friday. So you go with Montero on Saturday, and he has another rough outing. I got to think Kimbrel's taking his spot here pretty soon, unless they're just hung up on the $3 million. And I hope that's really not the case, but he's certainly seems like the bottom man right now in that bullpen, especially with the way that Scott Blewett is pitching. Once again, he goes 2 scoreless innings in extra innings to help the Braves get their only win of the weekend on Saturday. But outside of that, Dayswell, he did walk 4, which is not great. And then obviously I've talked about Iglesias. He had some tough luck in an inning on Sunday where I honestly thought he threw the ball pretty well. He went with the 4-seam fastball in the first batter that was up above the zone, and he was able to just go and tomahawk it into center field. And then you throw a good changeup down to Key Brian Haynes, who kind of gets jammed on it. It's like 66 miles per hour that just gets by the glove of Matt Olson. And I mentioned the Joey Bart walk-off. It was on a really good slider located down in the way, and he just happens to put a barrel on it. The bases are loaded. So you really just got to put the ball in play there and put it in the right spot. Nick Allen tried to make a great play. So I didn't think overall it was a terrible outing for Iglesias. Those just kind of happen sometimes. So again, the bullpen was good overall. I think once again, certainly some discouraging moments in there from Montero, Dayswell walking for Iggy, losing the game on Sunday. But outside of that, Aaron Bummer, De Los Santos were really good, and they both worked a couple of scoreless outings on Friday and on Sunday. And then Scott Blewett was excellent in those extra inning games. So the pitching staff has not been the problem. They've been really good for this Braves team. The bullpen's been even better than expected. Certainly think again, there could be some improvements there at some point, and will be needed. But the bullpen has been everything you could have hoped for and better based on what we thought coming into the season. And you can say about starting rotation too. Elder's been great lately. AJ Smith-Shawver seems to be coming along. Grant Holmes has been good to find, and Chris Sale has found himself. Schwellenbach, coming off a good outing as well. Strider could be back soon. We'll talk about that here next and what the rotation could look like. So I'm really excited about the pitching staff. They've kept the team in these games. It's just the offense, again, has to get going, has to step up if this team is going to go anywhere. Next, we will talk about the Strider news, when he could be back, and I'll set you up for the Nats series. 4-game series this weekend has to be a series win for the Atlanta Braves, but the Nats are a pesky team. We'll talk about that here next. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts, with each 1 ounce serving giving you 6 grams of protein, over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no-shell variety. I thought I had a pack behind me here, but apparently I already ate it. It is my preferred grab and go snack for those busy days when I'm running the kids to practices, school, whatever the case may be, doctor's visits. I can just grab one on the go. My kids enjoy them as well. But if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Just visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. I mentioned how good the starting rotation for the Atlanta Braves has been, and it could get even better here soon with the return of Spencer Strider. He said he felt good on Sunday and said he would be ready to start a game this week, and it's really just up to the Braves as to how they want to handle it. They could give him a rehab start before bringing him back, or he could start potentially by this Friday. All just depends on how they want to handle it, and it might depend on how some of these games go early in the week. You may want to keep some of those extra bullpen arms. You're in a long stretch of games right now. And if you go to that 6-man rotation, you're going to take somebody out of the bullpen. You could insert Strider in there. If Grant Holmes has a rough start on Monday, maybe you put him back to the bullpen for a little bit until you need him as a starter again. So the Braves could go several different ways with this, and it may just depend on how the week kind of unfolds. But the good news is Spencer Strider, he's good, he's healthy, he's ready to go, and could be back for the Braves very soon, and that is a welcome news for this team. Although, look, I'd be happy to have him back. But, to be honest, this team needs Ronald back. I mean, we'll love to have Strider back. Certainly looking forward to having him in there and giving the team a chance to win and seeing what he can do, getting back to full strength. But this team needs Ronald, and they need Ronald soon. Now, previewing this Nats series, the Nats just got swept by the Cardinals. They've lost 5 in a row. And I've told you before, I cannot stand facing teams coming in on big losing streaks, because odds in baseball are that you're going to win eventually. We saw that with the Rockies. They eventually did get a win. They were coming out on a big losing streak. The Braves won the first 2 games of that series and then dropped the last one. And the offense really hasn't been the same since then. But I do not like playing a team coming in on a long losing streak. But unfortunately, that's the case here with the Nats. They're just a game and a half behind the Braves, even though they're 17-24 with a negative 54 run differential. The Braves have a negative 2 run differential. You look at their offense, and probably surprises you to know it's about a top 15, certainly top 20 offense. They're 16th in runs, 18th in average, 20th in on-base percentage, 18th in slug, 17th in home runs, 7th in stolen bases. They have the 6th most caught stolen, I don't know how to say that. They've been caught stealing the 6th most times. So they do run a lot. They're 21st in walks. They don't walk a ton. And the 13th fewest strikeouts. They don't strike out a ton. Hitters to watch from the Nationals, James Wood. He is having a breakout season for them. The big-time prospect, slashing 274, 374, 529, and 903 OPS, 10 doubles and 10 home runs already, 24 walks, 5 stolen bases. Does strike out quite a bit, over 40 strikeouts already on the season. CJ Abrams having a bounce-back year. He's slashing 315, 374, 523 with an 897 OPS, 7 doubles, 4 homers, 8 stolen bases. And then Nathaniel Lowe is really the next best player on the team with an OPS of 747. Alex Call's been good for them lately. Those are the top 4 in the lineup right now for the Nationals. So those will be the ones to watch. But it's really James Wood, CJ Abrams that are the most dangerous hitters for the Nationals. You look at the bullpen for the Nationals. Worst bullpen in baseball. They're 30th in ERA, 30th in WHIP, 29th in batting average, 30th in walk per 9. They are 18th in K per 9. Kyle Finnegan is their best arm, 3.07 ERA, 1.43 whip, though, is pretty high. 14 2/3 innings, 7 walks to 15 strikeouts. So it's not like it's a dominating strikeout type of pitcher, about a strikeout an inning. He does have 12 saves already, though. Jackson Rutledge at 2.81 ERA and a 1.25 whip with 22 strikeouts in 16 innings. He is by far their best strikeout pitcher out of the bullpen so far this season. So this is a bullpen you definitely want to get to. And as I talked about earlier in the podcast, the Braves offense has not done a good job of knocking out the starter early and getting into teams' bullpens. And this is certainly a bullpen you want to get into early and often. You look at the pitching matchups on the weekend, it'll be Jake Irvin, who has a 3.94 ERA up against Grant Holmes with his 4.58 ERA. Michael Soroka, 7.20 ERA versus Spencer Schwellenbach and his 3.61 ERA. And then Mitchell Parker with a 3.97 ERA versus Elder at 4.97. And Trevor Williams with a 5.88 ERA versus AJ Smith-Shawver at a 2.76 ERA. So those are your pitching matchups. Again, it's one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball, certainly the worst bullpen in baseball. It is an opportunity for this offense to get on track, put up a bunch of runs. Now, on the flip side, the Nationals offense is sneaky good, and they could, put some runs up on the board. So you may have to win some of these games with your offense, and I just don't know that I trust them to do that overall right now. But this has to be it's a 4-game set at home against the Nationals. They've lost 5 in a row. It's a bad team. It's a bad pitching staff. You've got to be able to win this series and get to 500. You win the series and you will be at 500, but they can't do that unless the offense gets going, because this Nationals team will frustrate you. They will get on base. They will steal bases. They will manufacture runs. They will find ways to score. And we saw that last year with this Nationals team. That was a very frustrating team to play at times, and they will do that again to you this year. If you do not do a good job of holding on runners, you let the guys on base that can steal. CJ Abrams, Jacob Young, all those guys. James Wood will steal some bases. Dylan Cruz. You let those guys get on base, they will run wild on you, and they will find ways to score. And if the Braves can't put up more than 2, 3, 4 runs against this Nationals team, they will not win this series. So again, I like the Braves pitching staff. I like their chances of holding the Nationals down, but they will find ways to score, even better than what the Pirates were able to do. Certainly better than what the Pirates were able to do over the weekend. So you've got to be able to score more than 3, 4 runs to win some of these games and win this series, get a series win, and finally get to 500. Hopefully the Braves can do it. Very hopeful. Back at home, it's another opportunity for them, because then they face the Red Sox, and then they'll face this Nationals team again, and then the schedule heats back up. They're playing the Padres, play the Red Sox again, Phillies, I believe. So it's a difficult schedule for this Atlanta Braves team after this next week that they've got coming up here. So they have got to take advantage of this part of the schedule. That would do for this episode, though, of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for joining me here today on today's episode. Make sure that you subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. We'll have the postcast for you all coming up this week, as well as more episodes of Locked On Braves. We're talking about the minor league spotlight, where my guy J.R. Ritchie had a great start this past week. We'll get into all of that on Tuesday morning's episode. So again, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves. Follow us on social media at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. And make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. And we will talk to you next time.